Welcome. I am Susie Hebert, and I am the Rector of St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Richmond, Texas, and this is the Rector's Update for March 23rd, 2021. As I watched a press conference on Monday night in Boulder, Colorado, I was moved by the pain and compassion that the police chief and the head prosecutor expressed. They were honest in their grief about what had happened the day before, the shooting in the supermarket there in Boulder and the loss of lives. They were determined to honor the slain officer they knew so well, and especially they wanted to knit the community back together, one that is hurting and afraid. Their defiance in the face of this tragedy has to do with compassion, honoring relationships, and not with vengeance. When men take up a weapon that is designed to take several lives quickly, and they deliberately use that weapon against other human beings, they become powerful very briefly. They see fear and dismay in front of them. All of us have known anger, but the decision to take lives is so puzzling to the rest of us who are still in community with each other, who see each other as human, who see ourselves as members of the human family. What is the Christian response in the face of such a tragedy? Certainly, we are called to comfort those who mourn. That is primary. To grieve with them, because these wounds, this despair is not just for the families of both the victims and the shooter, but also for the law enforcement community. They are grieving for their community and town, for the students and faculty of the university there, and for the state. All of them have lost a sense of safety. They're afraid and sad. We also need to comfort and remember all of us who are revisiting the old wounds of other tragedies every time this happens again. As Christians, we are also called to seek to see the man who did this as a human being whom God loves, as much as God loves each of us. Even as we know he must face the consequences for his actions, God's grace is still for him as well as it is for us. The Christian response is also to continue to love our neighbor, whether we are comfortable with them or not, as we love ourselves. We're called to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with our God. I yearn for people on both sides of the gun control debate to make peace and iron out a shared goal to stop mass shootings. Protecting gun owners' rights while being realistic about the peculiar issues of assault weapons in particular. 10 days before this shooting, a ban on assault weapons in Boulder was struck down by a judge, using the argument that cities are not allowed to pass laws banning weapons. I grieve for Colorado, a state that has seen so many mass shootings. On the chain that I wear with this cross is also a dove. You see my dove? I added this dove after the El Paso shooting, in which 22 people were killed in our state, and as a daily reminder to me of those 22 who died, to work not to let that happen again. We can work to build communities that support troubled young men, which work to keep them connected to us all. Communities that build relationships that reach out when young men become isolated or angry. Adolescence always involves stepping out and risking with others, learning who you are apart from your family's definition of you. There are hard and difficult moments on this path of individuation, and young men need support. And we as a society carry some responsibility, because whatever confused or paranoid thought process that led to these tragic acts, these shootings, these young men did not come to them in a vacuum. The ugliness of how we sometimes treat each other has come to dwell within them. Racism, child abuse, conspiracy theories, strange church teachings, painful social dynamics among their peers, untreated mental health issues, lack of supportive mentors, and more. They're all factors, societal factors that we have a part in. Pledge to seek to end mass shootings in our country. Make that pledge to yourself. Pray. I pray for both sides in this gun debate that they can meet with each other in peace and work out a solution and implement it. For the politicians to follow through. I pray for lonely and angry young men everywhere that they may find much less destructive ways to express their pain and rage. I pray for all who mourn this day that they will be comforted.